discussed in the last 4 installments, we discussed the blessings of the tribes, right? And we said that each one got a particular blessing according to their character, according to their nature, and so forth and so on. But the interesting thing is, right, that afterwards, the verses, if you look at the verses after the blessings are over, it talks about the Jewish people in general, as a whole, and all kinds of blessings as a whole. So you know what the Chazal, they say from this? They learn from there something very interesting. They say that once this general blessing was also given in the end, this now, what happened was that it gave the blessing of one tribe to the others as well. In other words, even though this tribe has that particular quality, but also the other tribes can adopt that quality as well, if they want to. In other words, if they work on that. So what does that mean? The truth is, right, that even though the Yehuda is the lion, and Yosef is the shore, right, he's the ox, these are like the most powerful animals, right? But the truth is that even the other tribes can also adopt this quality, to be the lion and the ox and all these things. Why is that? Because in the end, Hashem blessed, right, Yaakov Avinu, he blessed all the tribes with all those qualities. But it just happens to be that some of those tribes are more unique to that quality more than others, but everybody can acquire that quality as well. So meaning what? That if I want to be a Levi, I can also be a Levi. I'm not a Levi, right? But I can be one. What does that mean? If I decide to devote myself to service of God, right? So says the Rambam, you become a Levi. What does that mean? Like, not that I'm actually technically a Levi. I'm not technically a Levi. I never will be. But what I'm saying is that you become like, Hashem looks at you like you're a Levi. Why? Because you're doing the job of a Levi. If you decide to do that job, you're also a Levi. So, that's what I'm trying to tell you, right? That that's an amazing thing. What is the amazing thing?
Taking on characteristic.
Right, the chameleon kind of thing, chameleon, whatever. But the point is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave all the qualities that the tribes got separately to all of them in general as well. So each one can adopt that quality and so forth and so on. But besides that, another interesting thing is that these, as we said, right, these tribes, some of them never even got a blessing in the beginning. Right, we said, right, Reuven never got a blessing. Shimon didn't get. Levi didn't get in the beginning. So what happened with them? How were they blessed, right? So it says, right, that those general blessings that he made in the end, Yaakov Avinu, fell on all the tribes. So therefore, all the tribes were blessed in a general way, even though in the beginning, right, those 3 tribes did not get blessings. But then later on, they were blessed in a general way. So everybody got blessed in the end. Just that happens to be that Yaakov Avinu had a gripe against the first 3 sons because of their behavior. So therefore, he refrained from blessing them in a unique manner, like to single them out. Right, exactly, yeah, specific blessing. So, but there's also another thing, Rabotai. Besides the blessings that were given by Yaakov Avinu, we also have another set of blessings that were given to the tribes later on. When was that? Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Moshe Rabbeinu, before he died, he also blessed the tribes himself, right? This is at the end of the book of Deuteronomy, Devarim, Sefer Devarim. Over there, he blesses them too. But the blessings of Moshe Rabbeinu are a little bit different than the blessings of Yaakov Avinu. What does that mean? That there were certain tribes that upgraded from the time of Yaakov Avinu to the time of Moshe Rabbeinu. They got an upgrade, right? The most noticeable one was Shevet Levi, right? Why? Because in the time of Yaakov Avinu, as we said, right, they didn't really get a unique blessing at that time. But then Moshe Rabbeinu gave them a huge, colossal blessing, right? Why is that? Because at that time already, it was very much apparent that Shevet Levi, the tribe of Levi, was the highest tribe of the Jews. It was the highest level. So therefore, why are they the highest level? Because they were the ones who rejected idolatry always. That was the whole thing, right? They rejected idolatry in Mitzrayim. They rejected idolatry in the desert. They were the ones who killed the idolaters, by the way, who served the idol, the ones who served the egel, the calf, the golden calf. The Levim were the ones who killed those people. They were the zealots, they went and killed. And Moshe Rabbeinu, attributed to them a lot of credit for that. So therefore, what he did was, he gave them a huge upgrade, Shevet Levi, So Shevet Levi turned out to be the biggest winner in the end, even though in the beginning they were kind of down and out. You know what I mean? That's the interesting thing. So things were also, adjusted according to the behavior of the tribes. So what are we seeing, by the way, as we said, right, that Shimon and Levi, they were together in their, their misdeeds during the time of Yaakov Avinu. But in the later, as time went on, right, Levi upgraded very, very, very much, and Shimon stayed pretty much down where they were, so therefore they were totally now separate and totally, right, not in the same league, not in the same category whatsoever, right? Except one thing, which is what? That the decree that Yaakov Avinu made for them, that they should be separated and never be together as a one group, this stayed, right? That stayed. But besides that, right, the whole story was changed. So what does that mean? That even though Shevet Levi, right, the tribe of Levi is separated, and also Shimon is separated, because when they're together, they're dangerous, these people, right? But what happened was that Shevet Levi was separated as in a commendable manner. What does that mean? That they're the ones who go and teach people Torah all over the country. They scatter out and teach them Torah and mitzvot. They give them Amavlenen, said the zechuyot. They're giving them zechuyot. That's what we're talking about. Right? They're giving them merits. The Jewish people. So they're the ones who are doing this. So their separation is a separation which is actually commendable, right? Very, very, very superior. But the separation of Shimon is, down and out kind of separation. You know what I mean? Like, they're poor, they're in poverty, they're down and out, they don't have a high status, they have meager jobs, meager salaries, all kinds of, right? Just the opposite of a Shevet Levi, right? That, as we said, right? That they were actually, many of them very wealthy and so forth and so on. Right? Who was the richest man in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu? Korach, right, who was a Levi. Right? Korach was the richest Jew at that time, and it was because of the zchut that he was a Levi. That's why he,
whoever did the Ketoret became very wealthy. Is this true?
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, that's very, very true. The Kohanim had many sources of blessing. That was one of them. Yes.
The moment the man would do it, within the next year, whatever, he became extremely wealthy.
Right, that's very, very true. And there was also the showbread that they ate, the bread that they ate. Also, that gave them blessing. Right. And also because they were doing there was also the Birkat Kohanim, right? The blessing of the Kohanim. They were doing the Bet HaMikdash. There was also, so they were getting blessings from all kinds of ways. So basically, right, this is what happened there. So there was a downgrade, upgrade, all kinds of things. But what happened was, in the end, all the Jews got the qualities of all the tribes. You know what I mean? So what does that mean? That a person can develop himself in all kinds of directions. That he may not be born in that quality, but he can develop himself and move on to that direction as well. Why? Because every Jew has a potential to be the best, 100%, like, without any limits. The Jews they have no limitations, the Jews. They can go sky high, up to the stars. Why is that? Because the blessings give us that possibility.
The Georgians?
we were blessed. We were blessed in every way. All right, that's a good one. Okay. So, I like that one. So, so that's the way it was over time. And this is, by the way, the reason, you want to know something amazing? That this is the reason why the Jewish people are so hard to defeat. When the Jewish people are together as a unit, it's very hard to defeat them. And this is the reason why this is the only nation that has lasted for so long. You know what I'm saying? All the other empires have dissipated and washed away. The only group that's left is the Jews. Everybody else is gone. The Greeks are not here anymore. The Romans are not here, gone. Persians are not here, right? All these empires, Babylonian Empire, they're all gone, washed away. The only empire that stayed is the Jewish people. The Jewish people have stayed, and this is actually a very big miracle, right? You see that what? The Jewish people, after 2,000 years of exile, have come back and become a nation again, which is something we don't find anywhere in history. There's it's unprecedented.
Those were nations. Nationality.
Yeah. Jewish people are also a nation.
But it's a religion.
Yeah, but we're a nation also, Yeah, we're a nation. I mean, we have a nation. We're a nation that has its own religion, right? That's what we are. But we're a nation, the Jewish people. We were scattered for 2,000 years, came back. This is a miracle. This is all miraculous. So you see the lasting power of the Jewish people. It's a very, very resilience is extremely, extremely powerful. And by the way, you want to know how powerful this is? I want to tell you something unbelievable. They say, right, that even when the Jewish people are down and out, what does that mean? We're talking about when the exiles occurred, right? The Roman exile. So I want to tell you, right, the Roman Empire was a very, very powerful empire, right? It was super, super power, just like America is today, whatever. You want to compare it to, whatever. So Roman Empire was like that. They were like, Barzell. They were iron. They were iron fist empire, the powerful. They were like just eating up lands, eating up empires, eating people up, just chewing things up. They were a very powerful empire. But you want to know something amazing, right? That even the Romans, who were so powerful, but how long did it take them to defeat the Jews, during the exile? I want to tell you something interesting, right? That basically there was only one city left that was resisting the Romans, which was Jerusalem at that time, right? Jerusalem. So the Romans came to besiege Jerusalem during the Second Temple. There was a siege. What does that mean, siege? Siege means that they come around, they surround the whole town. Right? At that time, the town was not so big. Now it's much bigger to Jerusalem than it was in those days. It's a pretty small town, so they surround it with like army, with soldiers. And they build like ramps around it, battering ramps, all kinds of things, to shoot there and to knock down the walls and to, also to starve them because they have no food coming in. There's no source of food. There's no source of water unless it's coming under the ground, whatever it is. In other words, they starve them out. They totally deplete them. And that's how they destroyed Jerusalem. But you want to know something amazing? How long did it take for the Romans to destroy Jerusalem? After they started the siege, it took them 3 years just to take one city. Can you imagine such a thing like this? This is unbelievable, right? So you see from there the resilience of the Jewish people, which is unbelievable resilience that no other nation has. The Romans were like ready to give up. By the way, they were just there was times where they were just ready to give up. They thought, we're never going to beat these Jews. It was like, oh man, they lost battle after battle. Repelled over here, repelled over there. There was also the battles of Beitar, over there, Beitar, over there. There's also other battles that occurred, and the Romans were like totally they were totally mesmerized by the Jewish power. So you see from there, by the way, that the Jewish power is very, very great. And this is because of the blessings like this, as we said, right? These general blessings that came into all the tribes that made the Jewish people a very powerful people that have all these qualities, the qualities of the lion and the ox and we talked about the snake also, right? Dan was a snake, and all right, and the deer, the speed running of the deer, and all these things. The Jewish people have all these qualities. So this is an amazing thing, right? That the Jewish people got such blessings like this, and this is why their resilience is so great. Now I'll tell you also something interesting, right? That regarding, like you said, right, the book of Exodus, over there's an interesting story brought down, because really, right, the Egyptian people, apparently they really had no reason to subjugate the Jews and make them into slaves, because the Jews were actually helping the Egyptian empire greatly. What does that mean? The economy was, being improved there, everything, the culture, everything. The Jewish people contributed to the culture of Egypt. So if that's the case, right, why is it that the Egyptians wanted so much to subjugate the Jews? What was the reason, right? So we discussed already one time, several months ago. I remember first of all, what happened was like this, right? That they came to Paro, the Egyptian people, and they told Paro, they said, listen, these Jewish people, they're very dangerous people. We got to do something with them. Why is that? Because look how successful they are. They took all the good positions, they have all the good businesses, all the good real estate. They're taking over our country little by little. Right, we're going to be like second-class citizens, a little while. Nothing is going to be left of us. And if something happens, let's say there's a war that occurs or something, some nation tries to invade us, what may happen is the Jews may also help them and throw us out and take over the whole country. They were afraid of all these eventualities, They had all these kinds of things in their head. And by the way, same thing applies today as well, right? When the non-Jews the non-Jewish nations see the state of Israel growing so strong and powerful, they say, like you give them to go like this in 20 years, they'll be on our neck also. They're very, very much afraid of that. It very much scares them. So what I'm telling you is that the Egyptians were very scared of the Jews because of this reason. So what happened was they came to Paro and they said, look, we got to do something, This cannot go on like this. We're not going to have anything left in a little while. They said, told Paro, you got to do something to trick them into, subjugate them. You got to do something. So Paro told them, he said, I'm sorry, but listen, you came to the wrong guy. Because I owe them gratitude. What gratitude do I owe? Do I owe them? That when Yosef HaTzadik was over here, you know what he did for us, right? He saved our country. Otherwise our country wouldn't be existing today. He told us to ration our food and to store our food. That famine would have destroyed the country if it wasn't for that. So he says, what do you want me to do now? You don't remember how much they helped us, these Jews, and now you want to go and subjugate them? That's how you repay the good that they did for us, right? So the Egyptians told them, as they said, listen, don't play with these games with us. Stop right there. If you don't agree to what we say, we're going to impeach you, right? We're going to take you out and impeachment. We're going to take you out of the office. You're going to lose your office. You're going to lose your stature. You're going to lose everything. We have the power to do it. We'll remove you from office. Right? We have the majority of the Senate. We have the majority of the House. We have everything. We got everything. Don't worry. We got everything. So Paro said, it says, don't try to threaten me. I don't take threats. Your threats. I don't care about you. Do what you have to do. Leave me alone. So they impeached him. They removed him from the office. Can you imagine? And they took him out of the office, and for 3 years he was in jail. Yeah, they put him in jail. They indicted him. They got Mueller. Everything. They got the indictment and everything. Investigations. Blah blah blah. Grand jury. This. Blah blah blah. Everything. They got him in. So then they go to him after 3 years, right? They tell him, no, what do you say now, huh? We got you, huh? We impeached you, we put you in jail. What do you say now, huh? You thought you were a wise guy. Huh? So now do you agree to do what we said? If we put you back in your office, we'll put you back. We'll restore your office, but you got to do what we said. So Paro said, okay, he says, well, I have no choice, I'm sorry. He says, I'll do whatever you tell me. Just get me out of this rat hole. This pit. Get me out of here. So they took him out. They removed him from the jail, and he went back to his office. They reinstated him. That's what happened. So then he agreed to do all these tricks, right, that they did with the Jews. So Paro himself, by the way, why is it that they wanted him to be the leader? Why not just remove and put somebody else? That's the question, right? If they really want to have a different policy, so take out this guy and put Hillary, take out Trump, put Hillary in there, God forbid, So, God forbid. But, I'm telling you, right, so why to keep him? For what? You know what the Chazal say, right, about Paro? He was a very short midget, this guy, He was a midget. He was an ugly, short midget, this guy.
Who's this, Pharaoh?
Yeah, that's what he was.
I hear also his room was built this way, so people have to come crowding.
You know how tall he was?
Well, Tutankamen was the boy.
No,
Yeah. He was a Paro, yeah.
He was a little guy, 3 feet.
Right. Okay, so you want to know how tall he was, this guy? He was this tall.
What?
Like a baby. Like a baby. 1 cubit.
man.
1 cubit. You know what's cubit? 2 feet. Yeah, 1 amma. That's how tall he was. He was a total midget, the guy.
So this is reverse in the film.
He was a human.
A reverse in the film. Is that it?
That's what it says. He was a total midget.
He was a human being this size?
By the way, the same thing, you want to know also? Who were the most powerful leaders? Nebuchadnezzar also was like Paro, even greater. Right, even greater. Also, Nebuchadnezzar said he was also a midget, like this. That's what he was. He was a midget. Can you imagine all these great leaders, the ones who were dominating the whole world? All midgets.
I can't even
And they say, by the way, it's an amazing thing, right?
18 inches.
They say that what?
That he looked like Yul Brynner.
Right, from the movie, right? Up to my knee, this is the size of the human being. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
You can suck it.
How did he get up into the chair?
So, now you want to know something interesting? Right, they say he was that tall. And they say his beard was also that big. Can you imagine? In other words, his beard covered the whole body.
Down to the floor.
He had a beard, down to the floor. He was dragging on the floor. What a strange looking man, right? Can you imagine? Looks like a little doll with a big beard. So he looks like, unbelievable. Unreal. So, what do we care about this? Why do I care how tall he was? Because it makes it even more strange. Why would they want somebody like this ugly little midget, running the country? The most powerful country in the world. Superpower, What the heck is this? What's going on here?
Weird.
Yeah. So, but you want to know something amazing? That in this world, the kingdom that is given to, the kingdom that is in this world, whether it be any country in the world, it's given by God. That kingdom represents the kingdom of God in this world. That kingdom. The government everywhere, whether it's Kosovo, whether it's whatever it is, doesn't make any difference. That kingdom which is over there is the kingdom which is appointed by God. It's appointed by God. That's the way it is,
Yeah, tell that to the liberals.
So, okay. So what am I trying to tell you? That when God appoints somebody to be the leader of that country, of that nation, even though he's a little midget, everybody's afraid of him. They're like, when you look at him, they shake from fear. Because since he put his glory upon that king, people are afraid of this guy. They cannot. That's the way it is. They say, right, that Nebuchadnezzar, when he was a king for a very long time until he died, right? They say that people were so scared in that generation. Listen to this, right? You think Stalin was bad, right? Hitler, They say when Nebuchadnezzar was a king, people were so scared they weren't able to smile. Nobody was able to smile. That's how scared they were. Can you imagine? Every person in the world was so scared they couldn't smile.
It's like Saddam Hussein in Iraq.
1,000 times worse, right?
Can
you imagine?
know that in Korea, Kim Jong-un is the only one who can have that haircut?
Right. Yes.
Is that true?
Yes. It's no big prize, by the way. It's no big prize, David.
You want a haircut like that?
Okay. No, but it's amazing that he decreed that no citizen can have the same haircut as him. Monopoly.
It was like Hitler, he can't have the same mustache, right?
I think Trump would be proud if I did my hairdo like him.
Impersonate him. Have fun with him.
It's a nice idea.
The question is this, are we descendants, are we all descendants, are all males descendants of Adam?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Also, all the females.
I'm dyeing my hair orange tonight, and tomorrow morning in Dunkin' Donuts, I'm coming with a Trump.
Oh, I thought I'll give you a, have a nose upstairs. Yes.
So anyway, Rabbi, why am I telling you all this? Because who would want such a guy like this? First of all, they put him in jail for 3 years, and then they tell him, okay, go back. For what to go back? Put somebody else there.
They put him in a bucket down the well or something?
Can you imagine? Huh?
Dig out
They
the
put him in a
oil
bucket and put him down the well out of jail.
Oil.
So you know what it is that they say. As I told you, right? In terms of the spiritual, when a person gets the kingdom, he is the king, and nobody else can take that place until Hashem takes away from him. That's the way it is. But besides that, there was also something natural, like on the down to earth kind of thing with Paro. They say that Paro was a very, very great man. What does that mean? He was very, very smart. He was a super, super smart man. Great politician, great politician. But also besides that, he knew all the wisdom, like he knew all the disciplines. He knew also witchcraft. He was a great sorcerer. Yeah, he was a great sorcerer, Paro. So he knew, right, all those things very, very well. And he had the greatest wisdom in these disciplines out of anybody in the world. Nobody was able to touch him. Can you imagine? Well, our forefathers were on the other side, right? Well, just on the other side. But Paro was on the side of Tumah. He was totally impure, totally contaminated. That's what he was. Egyptian, contaminated Egyptian. So in those days, the Egyptians were very, very contaminated. They were like totally corrupt. They probably had 25 wives, right?
Uranium.
Whatever. Those guys, So. Yeah. He had children also. Yeah, sure. He had a son. So anyway, what I'm telling you is that the amazing thing is that Paro was such a great man. They wanted him to be the leader of the country. Nobody else. But only if he does what they tell him. On that condition, right? That they have to take care of the Jews. If you take care of the Jews, we'll let you in. If not, too bad. We'll keep you in jail.
So that's how slavery started.
This idea that we have, tradition, that the Paro was one Amad, this comes from the time of people who saw him, right?
Yeah, it's Ruach HaKodesh. It's Ruach HaKodesh, yeah.
It's from Moshe Rabbeinu.
Yeah, for sure, no question about it. Oh yeah, I'm sure they all saw. They all saw his little midget body. They also.
Same guy who later on.
Yeah. So right, same guy. Yeah. So what we're saying is that Paro was a very, very great man. So they wanted him to have, for them, this was like a very illustrious king. Somebody who was very, had commanded great respect in the world. He was considered to be like top honcho, top wise man. So therefore, they wanted him specifically. So what happened was, right, that once Paro agreed to take this job, to go back to his kingdom and to work with the Jews, to work on them, the final solution, he wanted to do the final solution. Yeah. So what happened was that they devised a scheme over here, right, how to do this. So this was like a very intrigue scheme kind of thing. So what did they do? It was like this. So they said, if we now go and try to, enslave the Jews straight ahead. So it's not going to work. Why? Because they're going to say, oh, why do you discriminate against these people? What do you have against them? It doesn't look good. It's not politically correct. Doesn't look good. And also they're going to fight against us. Also, they're going to fight us. They're going to resist us. There's going to be a resistance movement. So we want to do it in a way which is going to look more kosher. More smooth, nice and smooth, politically correct. Doesn't look like something went wrong. Something, They say, by the way, an amazing thing. You want to hear what? Jimmy last week, he asked the question. That they're all the children of God. The whole world. So I want to tell you, right, regarding this, what it says in Talmud about this, that something amazing in Talmud says. You want to hear this? It's going to shock you. Says the Talmud that the Gentile nations, the non-Jewish nations, right? They're discussing on a regular basis, on a daily basis. You know what they discuss? How to eliminate the Jews. That's always their discussion. You understand? In other words, for them, the presence of the Jews in this world is like a stumbling block. It's a thorn in their side. They cannot tolerate it. So they're always discussing how can we do something to weaken them, to get rid of them, to remove them from the world. That's always their discussion on a daily basis.
This comes from Egypt.
On every country I'm talking about. I'm not talking about only Egypt, every country.
But it came from there.
No, I'm not saying it came from there, but what I'm saying is that the Talmud says that this is a fact. That every nation is discussing this on a daily basis.
But there's still children of
Now,
God.
let me explain to you what this means. Let me explain to you what this means. So the question should be, right, if all this is true,
You have Jews who try to kill Jews every day.
they're discussing this on a daily basis. No, they want to kill them as a nation,
Oh.
not as individuals.
Undermine them, destroy them.
Destroy them, destroy the world. Yeah. Like Bilam,
Right.
So what they say is like this, right? That they discuss it every day, and they try to find ways to do it, but then they come up with only the same conclusion every time, except maybe in times of Hitler, when things are a little bit different, but the conclusion is always like this, as the Talmud, right? That we cannot do that to get rid, to destroy the Jewish people. You know why? Because if we would do it, it would not look good that we uprooted, like totally destroyed a nation. It's not politically correct. It doesn't look kosher. This is the reason why they don't do it, because it doesn't look kosher. You
Doesn't
understand?
look kosher in front of who though? The rest of the anti-Semitic.
Because the world doesn't tolerate that. You understand? It doesn't look moral. It doesn't look like a moral act.
But if all of the nations
Yeah.
are contemplating that
Yeah.
and conspiring that,
Yeah.
I can understand if there was a nation or two that embraced the Jews.
Right.
There isn't. If they all want to wipe you out, why should anybody on this earth?
Because the governments want to wipe you out, but there are moral people who don't want that. They don't tolerate that stuff. There are moral individuals.
I'll accept that answer.
That's the answer. So now,
That's out of the Torah also. When it was given
what's the amazing thing now, right? Regarding this, right? This sounds like very far fetched, right? Oh my God! Oh, this is like
What's far-fetched? Everybody wants to accept.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We all know.
Okay. So there's a story brought down about this. What's the story? They say that one day there was a certain rabbi, times of the Talmud, and he saw a certain governor, that was working in the government, whatever, somebody, So he met up with this governor, and he says, "Oh, how you doing? How you doing, Rabbi? Nice to see you. What's new? Can you teach me some wisdom? Tells the governor, teach me something good." He says, "I'm going to teach you something really good." He says, "I'll teach you something really, really good." He says, "It says in the Talmud that you guys are always planning day and night to exterminate the Jews." He confronted him like this. Can you imagine? He confronted him. That's what he told him.
What happened?
Can you imagine? So he was shocked. So he looks at the rabbi, and he tells him. He says, "I must tell you, Rabbi." He says, "I'm very shocked that you said this, but he says, I must tell you, it's very, very true." He says, "Day and night, that's what we're talking about." He says, "When we're having our discussions in the cabinet, we're always discussing how to get rid of the Jews." And he says, "And we always come to the same conclusion, like you said. That's the conclusion. We cannot do it because it's not politically correct. It doesn't look good."
So it was politically correct in 1940?
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes that can be adjusted, but what I'm saying in a general manner, that's the reason why. Then, so he says he admitted to him that this was true. He said, "You're right. I cannot deny the truth." So, getting back to what we said, right, about Paro, it sounds that Paro was also one of these examples. Obviously, he was. That's what they do. So Paro, in order to do this job, they knew it wasn't politically correct. So how do you do it? How do you go about this whole thing? Just like put them in jail all of a sudden. Oh, will come, ACLU will come. What are you doing? You're arresting people. There's these human rights organizations. They come. Yeah, you're arresting Jews, anti-Semites, blah blah blah. It looks bad. All of a sudden, like it becomes like a big riot. So how do we do it? What's the plan?
You enslaved them.
Yeah, but how? Just to take them as slaves, you cannot do, right? You took away their human rights.
Money
you took away their dignity.
Money.
Put them to work.
So what's the story? So comes Paro and his cabinet, right, and they decide how to do it, right? They come up with a plan. What's the plan? They say, what we're going to do, right? In the first stage of the subjugation, what we're going to do is we're going to put up posters all over, advertising, over there everywhere, Facebook, Twitter, this and that, everywhere. It's going to be all over the country, social media, blah 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 blah. What's going to be there, right? That Paro wants you, they have like a picture of Paro, like Uncle Sam, he wants you, You know, it's like he wants you to volunteer for the country. What does that mean? We want you to come and volunteer so we can do some building projects, build some new cities, high-tech cities, Silicon Valley, things like this, all kinds of stuff. So we can make money, economy's going to get better, all kinds of stuff. All over these signs, everywhere, right? Doesn't talk about Jews, nothing. Everybody come, Everybody come, yeah. Everybody show up. We're going to be starting, right, December 1st, right? We're going to be starting. Show up here at this time, right? This number. Bring your shovel, hammer and sickle, bring everything, and get ready to work. Get ready to volunteer for the country, for Uncle Paro. You know what I mean? Your uncle. So, okay, that's what it says,
Since when do Jews work for free?
Good question, right? Good question. That's the whole thing. So that's exactly the point. It wasn't for free. They were paying for this. They were getting a salary also. That was the plan. You understand? In other words, you come and volunteer, but we're going to pay you.
Businessmen, they don't need this.
So what's the story? Yeah, but it doesn't look good if the Jews don't show up. You know why? Because they're going to say, those lazy Jews, they don't care about the country. They're not patriotic. You understand? So, it doesn't look good. So what happened was like this, right? Then in the first days, everybody came, They showed up with their shovels, yeah, let's go, we're going to build a city, blah, 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 this and that, whatever. So what happened was, Paro himself also came, by the way, they say, right? Good human relations. He came also with a shovel, must have been a short shovel, right? So he came with a shovel, and he also said, if my citizens are going to work, I'm also going to work, I'm also a part of that. So he came, can you imagine? He came with the shovel, and he started to dig, digging, this, they're taking pictures over the, video, they're showing it on YouTube, Paro is working, he's participating with the people, politics, politics. That's the way it is, right? So PR, this is PR, So there you go, right? So wow, that sounds very good, right? Very patriotic, right? Nationalistic or patriotic, right? Which one is better? I don't know. Ask the French guy over there, right? What's his name? Macaroni, right? Ask the Macaroni. Okay, so
You're watching more television.
I don't even have a television. Okay. So
You say macaroni.
Macaroni, Mr. Macaroni, right?
I don't like it.
That was so despicable. Really, so despicable.
With a name like that, how can you do anything right?
I mean-
Macaroni, Mr. Macaroni, right? So anyway, what happens is like this, right?
Go up again. A couple of times, then there's gonna-
Good. Jimmy said good. Okay.
Like Angela Merkel. She let him listen.
Beautiful. That's what they deserve. Taste their own medicine. That's what they deserve.
I don't like the French.
Yes.
Their women were showing the underwear to the German Nazis, I was about to say.
Okay, so anyway, as we said, right, what happened was, little by little, right, what happened was like this, right? Everybody showed up. But little by little, right, they all started to evacuate, so they just left the Jews there, you understand? They started to little by little trickle out of the area, and all of a sudden the only ones who were left are the Jews. This was planned like this, you understand? It was a plan. So what happened was that once they all trickled out, the only ones that were left is the Jews, so they started to put fences around, barbed wire, that's it, now you're trapped. Oh, too bad, now they can't get out, right? So, as if why they do it this way? Because this way it shows as if they came with a free will. They weren't forced to come. They came, and all of a sudden they told the Jews, I'm sorry, but there's no more budget to pay you, we're going to have to work for free. As we said, right, it's a volunteer job. So, that was just for the first few days, you get a salary. Now, no salary. Oh, right? So little by little, right, that's how they did it, politically correct. Smooth talking, this kind of stuff. Advertising, social media, everything. They got the whole thing out like this, and all of a sudden the Jews were now left as slaves. Can you imagine? This is what happened. This is how it happened. So once they got them as slaves, no pay, forced labor. This is exactly what it turned out to be in the end. Little by little, gradually, they enslaved them like that. To make it look smooth, to make it look acceptable. I'll tell you something, by the way, that they say the Chazal, something amazing about the Egyptian exile. They say the Egyptian exile, right? How many exiles did the Jews have altogether? We had 4, right? Which one is the first one? Babel, right? Babylon. That was for 70 years, right? Then we had Persia. That was the second one, right? Then we had Greece, and then we had Rome. right? These are four exiles, major exiles, right? There was also minor stuff, but this is the major ones. So why do I tell you this? Because these four exiles, each one had their own qualities. What does that mean? That each of these nations had a certain quality a bad quality that they had, certain negative qualities. And the Jews, their job was not to learn from them, right? To stay away from their bad qualities. When they were in the exile, their job was to stay away, to have their own shtetl, their own ghetto, and not to intermingle with those, because once you mingle with those nations, you pick up their bad qualities, their bad characteristics. So what happened was like this, right? That they say the Chazal, something amazing about this. They say that in the Chumash, in the Bible, it says, right, that tells you what animals are kosher to eat and what animals are not kosher to eat, right? So it tells you that it goes according to the hoof and the cud, right? If it chews the cud and has a cloven hoof, so it's kosher, right? If it doesn't have those qualities, it's not kosher. Even one of them, it doesn't have. It's not kosher. That's how you tell, right? So if that's the case, I already know which animals are kosher or not. I can look at, I look at their hoofs, I look at if they chew the cud, and I know if they're kosher. So then it comes and tells you all of a sudden, the Chumash tells you 4 particular animals which are not kosher, Which ones it tells you? First one is the camel, right? And then it tells you the camel is not kosher, right? What's the problem with the camel, by the way? The camel, it's cloven-footed, but it doesn't. It's not cloven-footed, but it chews the cud. So it has one sign, but the other sign doesn't have.
Okay.
Right? That's the camel. So then we have the hare, right? Which is like a big. It looks like those things that are walking around here. What are those?
A huge rabbit.
Right, something like that. By the way, there's different versions of what that animal actually is.
Kangaroo?
Different opinions, right? Not a kangaroo. It's like it looks like those things those raccoons that walk around. Like something like that, similar to that kind of animal.
Oh, possum.
Something like that, whatever it is, right? So that's called the arnevet, right? So then we have the rabbit, right? Which is the third one. That's so.
Can't eat rabbit?
Right. The rabbit is not kosher. Rabbits are not kosher.
Oh, okay.
Right? Why is that? Because they also don't have a cloven foot. They chew the cud, but they don't have a cloven foot. So then the last one that it brings is the pig, right? The swine. So the swine, what does it have? It has a cloven foot, but it doesn't chew the cud, right? Just the opposite.
You had the cloven foot.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Jimmy, did you know that?
When was the last time I saw it?
Big feet and key foot?
No. I always thought that
Make good
the
catch.
restriction was because of the hoof.
47.
Yeah.
Split hoof.
So half of it qualifies?
Right. So what does it mean half? Right. It's like half kosher, It's like half kosher, The truth is, right, that as we said, even if it doesn't have one of those qualities, it's not kosher at all. There's nothing in the middle. You understand? Either you're 100% or you're 0.
Okay.
So if that's the case, right, that I already have the signs that was given by the Torah. So why do you have to tell me these 4 animals? Like single them out as if there's something unique. What's so unique about them? What is this business, right?
Well, the rabbit is too cute. I would never eat it.
They only eat it on Easter.
My question
Yes.
is this.
Yes.
Maybe it's a public perception when we think about the pigs. It's more disgusting
Yeah.
than if you would think, for example, of giraffe, right?
Yes.
Now, why is that? Why in one? Is it
Because they're dirty animals. They're always in the mud. That's why they're disgusting. They're filthy animals.
Not anymore.
I don't know.
I mean, they happen to be actually one of the cleanest now.
Can rules
Because they keep them
change?
clean. But if you let them go in the wild,
They don't.
they're gonna go right to the garbage. Right to the garbage they
Yes,
go.
okay,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they don't.
Feral pigs.
First of all, the pig by nature eats everything. Eats some baby, eats some garbage.
Right.
Does not sweat. It has parasites.
It's a very filthy animal.
By nature, like
Yeah.
bears.
Yeah.
Okay, no, but I tried.
Listen,
Bears love meat.
They want to dwell on this for some reason. I don't know. I can't tell you.
they harvest them now.
Is there anything wrong with
And
eating a
it's
bear?
not,
It's not kosher.
6,000 years ago. So, and they happen to be delicious. It's the better white meat.
So now let me explain to you, right, regarding this.
Have
Right,
you
one
tried
thing.
it?
Of course I have.
I haven't. I heard it's
What?
tasty.
Okay.
It's average.
Huh?
It's very average. It's not that great.
What? Pork?
Pork is
Yeah.
not that great.
So Rabbi,
Pork and wine.
why does it single out these 4 animals? That's my question to you, right? Why these 4? So the Chazal tell us, right, this corresponds to the 4 kingdoms that subjugated the Jews. That we said there was 4 exiles. So these animals correspond to those exiles. The first one, right, is the camel. So that's corresponding to Babel, right, to Babylon. Right, that's number one. Then we have the second animal, which is a hare, whatever it's called, that thing. So that corresponds to Persia, right? The second kingdom. Third one, right, is the rabbit. It corresponds to Greece, and the pig, right, swine corresponds to to Rome, right? To those guys, So what does this mean, Rabbi? That each one of these exiles had their own qualities, because these animals have a certain quality, that they have something was wrong with them. In other words, what is it like this, right? Why is it that these animals have one kosher symbol and the other one they don't have? It's because these kingdoms, it's coming to teach you something, right? That these kingdoms, that's their quality. Their quality is that they're somewhat kosher, they have some kosher qualities, but also they have qualities which are not kosher. They're mixed. So the problem is that when you look at these nations, on the outside they look sometimes very great. When you dig into the inner workings of these nations, what do you really see? You find that there's also a lot of corruption in these nations. Understand? Why? Because they're not kosher 100%. It's half and half, 50-50, So this can be very tricky. Why? Because you see something which looks actually very good. Oh, this is not why, I like that. But then you see, right, something which doesn't look good. So it tricks you, It has like this, there's a contrast and contradiction. These kingdoms are they look somewhat kosher in some ways, but in reality, right, they're totally not kosher, because there's nothing half in kosher. Either you are or you're not. That's the way it is, you know what I mean? But the qualities are. So why do I tell you this? Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
When it comes to souvenirs,
Yeah.
let's say that someone has a souvenir or a camel keeps at home.
Yeah.
That's not allowed.
Souvenir.
Yeah, like let's say that a friend brought a souvenir as a camel, let's say from Middle East, and he leaves
No, you can have a pet like that. You can have a pet as a camel, no problem.
Not a pet.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
talking about like an idol. He's talking about.
like a souvenir, like
Oh yeah, like to have like a doll of a camel. Yeah, there's no problem with that. There's no
Like an
problem.
elephant. Like an elephant's supposed to be good luck.
Well, it's like people usually don't do that, but actually there's no prohibition. There's no prohibition.
My grandmother has a Moses like this big silver.
There's no prohibition.
She said this is Moses.
Moses talk.
What do I do?
Okay.
there's no prohibition on these things.
Does Moses talk?
Yeah. No, the truth is, right, that there is issues with having like a whole body of something, maybe it's considered idolatry, whatever. But nowadays, the custom is to be lenient regarding this, right? We're not so stringent regarding like dolls. We let our children play with dolls, even though it's a full body. We're not so concerned about that. Well, it's not exactly the most pleasant thing, but to tell you that there's a prohibition, I cannot tell you.
I can't own a pig as an animal, right?
Owning pigs is a problem. Yes, there's a problem. There's a prohibition to own pigs, to raise pigs. Yes.
They're not raising pigs. They have little pigs.
Camels is not a problem.
They have these
Why
little.
who's planning to raise pigs?
Hold on. They have these little pigs that are clean. They're like from Vietnam or something. They're like pets.
So anyway, but I want to tell you, right?
By the way, Rabbi,
yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you. I heard that they're the most intelligent animal.
They're very intelligent.
Okay, so what I will tell you is like this, Rabbi. And that's why we have those smart people here. We have those smart people. I don't want to tell you, right? That's why they're very smart. Okay, so
No, I heard that from all the animals, they happen to be very intelligent.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
that's why they're dangerous, right? When you're impure and you're intelligent, that's what makes you dangerous. You understand? That's the whole thing. So I will tell you, Rabbi, that they say, right, with all these impure qualities that we find in these kingdoms, but Mitzrayim, the Egyptian exile, which is not counted with these four, it's not counted, it's a separate one. You know why? Because Mitzrayim had all the qualities of these exiles. In other words, had all the bad qualities of every one of them was there. So Mitzrayim was the most impure and the most, vile and, like tameh, impure nation that there ever was. It had all the impure qualities of all the nations combined.
It's not Egypt today.
No, not Egypt today. Today it's just the Arabs over there. It's basically.
JPF Chaim Ben Pesach calls them human sewage.
I'm sorry. So anyway, what I'm telling you, Rabbi, is that Egypt was considered to be a very, very great exile, which had all the qualities of the other exiles. So what does that mean? Why do I need to know that? But the reason we need to know that is because the Egyptian exile was a very difficult exile. It was a very, very difficult exile to escape from, because it was coming from you from all angles. The impurity that was there, the impure culture, the impure influence was so great, it was coming from you from everywhere. So therefore it was very difficult to get out of there. They say, right, but you know how difficult it was, the Egyptian exile? They say that if it wasn't that Hashem would have saved us miraculously from there, we'd still be there until this day. Can you imagine? Because we wouldn't be able to get out of there. The exile was so difficult, Rabbi. So Kadosh Baruch Hu, what he did for us,
Derech Shalom, if you're going to go, you're going to
I'll let you know, yes.
Derech Shalom,
God bless, right, thank you. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu took us out of there, Rabbi. It's considered to be a very great miracle. You know, he took us out because the Egyptian exile was the most difficult one. It was everything combined together, you know, like all the armies together of all these impure elements were all there. So Kadosh Baruch Hu, we have to thank Kadosh Baruch Hu, who saved us from there, you know, that we got out, and Baruch Hashem, we're going to also get out of this exile, the one that we're in now. B'mehera v'amenu, we're going to see the Biat Mashiach, amen.
You're talking about
God
the
bless.
exile from Forest Hills?